Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel continues to investigate the driver of yesterday's alleged car ramming attack. A second wave of bomb threats shake Jewish community centers across the United States, and Israel is recognized as one of the world's most innovative nations to watch out for. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with the latest news in Israel. Hundreds of Israelis attended the funeral of a border police officer who was killed in a car ramming attack at a Bedouin village that authorities are blaming on a terrorist with ties to ISIS. 34-year-old Erez Levy leaves behind a wife and two children, aged 2 and 5. He's remembered as an outstanding officer who was awarded numerous commendations for excellence. During the service, Israeli Police Chief Roni Al-Sheikh repeated claims that the 47-year-old driver Yaqub Musa Abdu Al-Kian was a member of the Islamic State terror group. The chief says he spread incitement by urging children to embrace violence at the school where he taught, and that 6 of his colleagues have previously been arrested for ISIS affiliation. Police also say they've received evidence of Kian's Islamist radicalization from his home. Video footage has been released showing the assailant driving his car into police.
אני יודע לומר בוודאות שאדם ששועט עם רכב לכיוון קבוצת שוטרים, המטרה שלו היא אך ורק להרוג אותם. ומי שהורג שוטרים שבהם מבצע את תפקידם כדין, אין לי שום הגדרה אחרת מאשר פיגוע, וזה פיגוע ברור לחלוטין.
The driver was shot and killed by police who were at the unauthorized Bedouin village in the Negev to oversee the razing of 15 homes ordered by Israel's Supreme Court, because they'd been built illegally on state-owned land. The 400 residents have rejected offers to be relocated nearby, where they'll be given free alternative plots. Relatives of the alleged assailant insist he lost control of his Land Rover and didn't intend to attack the police. Several protesters were injured in the subsequent clashes, including Arab-Israeli lawmaker Ayman Odeh. After receiving care by Israeli paramedics, Odeh slammed the demolition operation.
كيف يعقل أن تبقى قرى موجودة قبل قيام دولة إسرائيل بدون كهرباء، بدون ماء، بدون تعليم للأطفال؟ هذه جريمة كبرى وهي الجرائم هنا بالنقب. بعد قليل سيكون اجتماع لجنة متابعة، سنتخذ قرارات وفي صلبها النضال العنيد من أجل الاعتراف بالقرى غير المعترف بها بالنقب.
For now, investigation continues into the attack to ascertain if and how deeply ISIS may have influenced Israel's 200,000 Bedouin citizens, about half of whom live a nomadic lifestyle in shacks on patches of desert. Fallout over the incident in the Bedouin village has been swift. There's a nationwide general strike in the Israeli Arab sector today, while Arab Knesset members are submitting a new bill against demolitions. This as hundreds of ordinary citizens also voiced their opposition to the controversial practice. Aaron, can you fill us in with some facts on the ground?
Yeah, what I'll say is I'll fill in a little bit more in the report. But things at the moment are very confusing. The Shin Bet still has not released their investigation, the results of their investigation. And all I know for certain is that the tensions around this issue are really heating up.
After the deaths of the Israeli police officer and the Bedouin driver, the streets of Tel Aviv, Haifa, and several other locations across Israel were packed with mostly left-wing protesters who are against the government-ordered razing of homes. One Arab advocacy group even insisted excessive police force is to be blamed for yesterday's bloodshed. Many of the 200 people gathered outside the Jerusalem residence of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu carried signs demanding an inquiry into the incident, which the premier has also condemned as a terror attack. Arab businesses and municipalities were closed today, while the community's children were instructed to show up at school only for a 3-hour session against demolitions. The Joint Arab List Political Alliance introduced a new bill demanding that no other illegal structures be torn down over the next decade, while the Knesset forms a, quote, comprehensive national solution to zoning and development disputes.
Federal authorities in the United States are conducting an official probe into the wave of bomb threats that's been plaguing American Jewish institutions across the country over the past week and a half. Many of the Jewish victims, including school children and the elderly, are struggling to overcome the terror they experienced yesterday, when at least 32 centers in 17 separate states had to be evacuated during the hoax attacks. Just 10 days ago, another 19 Jewish centers in 11 U.S. states received threatening phone calls believed to have been placed from the same number by at least one individual or through an automated robocall system. Many of the Jewish organizations have already resumed operations after no bombs were found. So far, no injuries have been reported in any of the emergency evacuations. There haven't been any claims of responsibility, and local police and federal authorities have yet to name any suspects. Officials at the FBI and the Justice Department are now investigating possible civil rights violations in connection with the threats, the sheer volume of which is unprecedented. The North American Association of Jewish Community Centers is expressing deep concern over the surge of anti-Semitism, saying that while the bombs in question are hoaxes, the calls certainly are not. Amid growing allegations of criminal wrongdoing, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is maintaining his innocence and shoring up his political base so as not to be forced to resign. Yet there is jockeying within the Likud party among potential leaders vying to replace Netanyahu if that becomes necessary. But as political pundit Mitchell Barak points out to ILTV's Steve Leibowitz, it's too early to count Bibi out.
If he were to leave the scene at this point, do you think that a coalition could come together without having new elections?
Well, you know, the obituary of the Netanyahu government has been written many, many times, and it may be premature at this point also. So at each venture, at each scandal, at each possible thing, it looks like it could break. He could actually be indicted. This seems a very, very serious accusation. And again, all of the time that we've discussed in the past where they said he's gotten gifts or money, this is really his Achilles heel right here, because this is his interest in controlling the media and influencing the media. This is really an issue for him that is close to his heart. So it is very possible that some of what we're hearing and some of what the tapes that we're hearing, that he has actually, tried to influence editorial decisions at Yediot Achronot in exchange, bartering for legislation. Even both sides said they weren't going to do it, and both sides didn't hold it. The fact that there was a tape and so forth is significant. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing of what happens if tomorrow he leaves the scene is a very good question, meaning I'm not convinced that in the environment today that the parties would be able to coalesce behind one leader. That leader would probably have to be in the Likud, because the Likud is the largest party. It's hard to see who is the main force there, who is the heir apparent within the Likud. A lot of the possible heirs have left the Likud and either retired, semi-retired, or have gone to other parties. So the politicians may like to roll the dice, especially Yair Lapid at Yesh Atid would be interested in doing that, because he's being bolstered right now by the polls. And Bougie Herzog of the Labour Party would not want to go to a primary system where he's going to be knocked out by some of the challenges.
Bougie Herzog apparently has suggested the possibility, or has entertained the possibility, that Finance Minister Kachlon be the one that everyone could rally around in order for that he form the government.
It could be. That's about as exciting as having an accountant be in charge of your country. He's very capable, very competent. He's lacking some charisma, and I don't see that. I don't see the public really getting excited by that. He's gotten 10 seats first time in the Knesset. I can't say that it's a very memorable list, a very super talented list. He has some good people there, but it's not. He's not a powerhouse within the government. So I think that there might be some parties, especially on the right, Bennett, and of course Lapid, who we mentioned, that are ready to roll the dice and go to elections. And don't underestimate the Trump effect, which is taking place. And what is that effect? Is, someone with little to no or even zero experience in government and in military affairs and so forth can be elected head of the President of the United States, be the commander-in-chief in charge of the nuclear codes. So why wouldn't Israelis say, you know what, maybe we don't need a military person. Maybe we don't need someone with such heavy diplomatic or military experience, and we could roll the dice on someone and give someone a chance who isn't so experienced.
Israel has consistently been at the forefront of technological and scientific research and development. From inventions like the flash drive to drip irrigation to the famous Iron Dome missile system, the Jewish state uses its technological innovations to stay relevant in a rapidly changing environment. Joining me to discuss Israel's role in the world as well as some new and exciting technologies is Likud Knesset member and Minister of Science, Technology and Space, Ophir Akunis.
How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's start with the big news, what is on everybody's mind, not only in the United States, but here in Israel, is the new Trump administration beginning tomorrow. How do you see American-Israeli relations changing, not only generally, but with respect to science and technology?
First of all, I want to congratulate the new Trump's administration. I think it's a new beginning. As you know, in the past 8 years, usually the relationship between Israel and the United States are very good and very strong. But from time to time, we can find some differences, especially about the negotiation with the Palestinians and some more American initiative. And now, I hope that the new administration, I read and I saw that the new administration, most of the seniors in the new administration, like me, are against the two-state solution, against the establishment of a Palestinian state in the heart of the ancient land of Israel, Judea and Samaria, and I'm very happy. And of course, all of us, we are looking forward to see the new embassy of the United States in her new home in Jerusalem.
All right. Well, you've spoken out against last week's Paris Peace Conference, was also on big news everywhere. What were your issues with, the French summit, and how is Israeli research and development, in your opinion, going to be able to be used to bring peace in this region?
It's actually two different questions.
Yeah.
First, about the Paris summit. I think that it's wrong that 70 ministers of foreign affairs flew to Paris and say to Israel from there to withdraw from Judea and Samaria and to establish a Palestinian state. And that was the idea of the Paris summit. If the ministers and their administration want to bring peace to the Middle East, they should pressure the other side, the Palestinians, to come to the negotiation table and to solve the problem around the table. What they did in the beginning of the week, I think it was on Sunday in Paris, it's very easy to the Palestinians to sit and wait. What will they say in Paris? Israel must withdraw from Judea and Samaria, and we will support the Palestinian state, but only, without the Israel opinion. And we are against it. So it was wrong idea in this whole formula in Paris. The second part of your question, I think that, all over the world, especially in the Far East, everybody wants the Israeli minds, the technologies, the innovation. They want to cooperate with Israel. I just came from India, and I heard from the Indian Minister of Science and Technology the unbelievable sentence like, "We want to learn from you how to be a high-tech nation." It's fabulous. By the way, it happens in South Korea, it happened in China, all over. So if someone wants to cooperate here in the Middle East, states like, even the Palestinians, or Jordan, Egypt, other states, they want to cooperate with Israel. We want it, but most of them, and especially the Palestinians, must recognize, first of all, the existence of Israel and the abilities of Israel. And if they want it, our doors are open.
Great. Now, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report from 2016 to 17, Israel ranks second in innovation worldwide, which is a very big deal for such a small country, as we all know.
You're absolutely right.
So in your position, what have you seen that makes Israel so successful?
First of all, the ideas that, the startups, the innovation that comes from Israel. I think we are number 2 after Switzerland in this in the list
Correct.
that you quote. I think that we are more than, with all the respect to Switzerland, we are much more than Switzerland, because as you said, we are a very small country. But in the last 25 years, or something like 25 and 30 years, the startups, the innovation that starts here from our great minds is all over the world, and this is the reason that we are number 2 in that list that you quote from. First of all, it's the minds. Second, the government, including my ministry, support especially the R&Ds. The R&Ds, not the private section, because we think that the private section is there is a huge success to the private sections without the government. But the R&Ds, the roots to the Israeli technologies and to the Israeli innovation is all over the R&Ds, from Kiryat Shmona, from the Upper Galilee in the north, even to Elat in the south. And of course, this year is the peak of the governmental budget to the R&Ds, and of course, our students. I'm talking about before students in the universities and the institutes, the pupils in the schools. In primary schools, we support them with a lot of activities, with a lot of money, billions of shekels, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Education, and other ministries.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Minister Akunis.
Thank you for inviting me.
Very interesting to learn about this, and hopefully we'll have you back again.
Thank you very much.
U.S. President Barack Obama, and yes, folks, he's still president until tomorrow, used one of his very last press conferences in office to express his concerns over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Let's turn now to ILTV's Aaron Porras with more on the story.
Thank you very much, Natasha. Despite Trump's pro-Israel rhetoric, it's anyone's guess as to how his administration will actually behave. But President Obama says that he believes the prospect in the two-state solution is waning due to the increased Israeli building in Judea and Samaria, as well as the Palestinians' failure to come to the table with any peace-conscious decisions.
I continue to be significantly worried about the Israeli-Palestinian issue. And I'm worried about it both because I think the status quo is unsustainable, that it is dangerous for Israel, that it is bad for Palestinians, it is bad for the region, and it is bad for America's national security. In light of all the dangers that have emerged in the region and the understandable fears that Israelis may have about the chaos and rise of groups like ISIL and the deterioration of Syria, in light of all those things, what we at least wanted to do, understanding that the two parties wouldn't actually arrive at a final status agreement, is to preserve the possibility of a two-state solution, because we do not see an alternative to it.
Obama went on to call for both the Israelis and the Palestinians to move quickly before it's too late.
And I've said this directly to Prime Minister Netanyahu. I've said it inside of Israel. I've said it to Palestinians as well. I don't see how this issue gets resolved in a way that maintains Israel as both Jewish and a democracy. So the goal of the resolution was to simply say that the settlements, the growth of the settlements, are creating a reality on the ground that increasingly will make a two-state solution impossible. And we've believed, consistent with the position that had been taken with previous U.S. administrations for decades now, that it was important for us to send a signal, a wake-up call, that this moment may be passing. And Israeli voters and Palestinians need to understand that this moment may be passing.
Now here's some happy news. For the first time in history, Israel is about to get a Druze cabinet minister. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly about to promote Knesset member Ayub Kara to full ministerial status, even though the Druze lawmaker will serve without a portfolio. Kara is currently the Deputy Minister of Regional Cooperation. It's all part of the premier's reshuffling that's been going on ahead of likely orders from the Israeli High Court against the premier's control of multiple ministerial posts on his own. Kara is a longtime standing member of Netanyahu's ruling Likud party and a prominent member of the Druze community, which numbers around 131,000. The Druze are Arabic-speaking full citizens of the Jewish state who also perform compulsory military service alongside their Jewish counterparts. Few people remember that Israel once had a Druze acting head of state when Likud Knesset Speaker Majali Wahabi took the helm after the Israeli president took a leave of absence and the interim president was abroad in February of 2007. Israel's upgraded ballistic missile shield has just become operational in a Star Wars-like extension of its capabilities. The joint Israeli-American Arrow 3 system is designed to take intercontinental ballistic missiles into outer space, where they'll be destroyed by kamikaze satellites. These high-altitude shootdowns are designed to safely dispose of whatever nuclear, biological, chemical, or conventional payloads are carried by the rockets. Israeli defense officials say the new system and its Arrow 2 predecessor will significantly reduce the possibilities of ballistic missiles ever hitting the Jewish state.
Today, we're entering a new era, the Arrow 3 era. We're very proud to deliver to the Air Force initially the first capability of Arrow 3. We built during the last almost 10 years together with the Missile Defense Agency and with a lot of help from US Congress and US administration, this system.
Arrow 3 system, it's another piece in our multi-tier concept, such as the Arrow 2, the David Sling and the Iron Dome, that will bring us for another era dealing with the incoming threat from north, from east, from non-state actors and states as well.
Arrow serves as the top tier of the integrated Israeli missile shield. Its Iron Dome short-range rocket interceptor was used extensively with high success rates in the 2014 Gaza war against Islamist Hamas terrorists. And the David Sling system is being developed to shoot down mid-range, lower-altitude missiles, such as those in the arsenal of the Lebanon-based Hezbollah terror group, which last fought a war with Israel in 2006. The latest addition to Israeli defense comes amid frequently voiced concerns over the ballistic missile threat posed by its arch-foe, Iran. The World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness report just came out with some remarkable news that Israel is the second most innovative nation in the world. The finding is based on WEF data that ranks international competitiveness according to 12 specific criteria. In the category of innovation, the startup nation comes in second, only behind Switzerland. Even the US, Germany, and Japan follow the Jewish state in the study of 138 countries. Results for Israel, according to other economic parameters of success, were also very positive. The nation came in second in venture capital availability and third for both the quality of its research institutions and for R&D collaboration between universities and industry. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a congratulatory statement saying that Israel is a nation which sanctifies innovation, and even though we've achieved great heights, we cannot stop now and will continue to climb. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Israel is commonly referred to as the innovation nation, and it's not without cause. Inventions that come out of the Jewish state range across all aspects of research and development, from agriculture here on Earth to travel between the stars. So today's word is leamtzi, meaning to invent. Leamtzi comes from the root matzah, meaning to find, and it's this drive to find new ways of doing things that indeed drives the country itself. You can leamtzi a new way to fuel an engine, or you can leamtzi a new app that just helps you find a ride to work. Unfortunately, leamtzi isn't always used in a positive light. Leamtzi can also mean to make up or lie, as is often done, and knowing the difference between what's true or not can be quite chaotic. I guess that's just the other side of the coin, though, because as English novelist Mary Shelley once put it, invention doesn't consist in creating out of a void, but out of chaos. And we can't wait to see what people will invent next. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be partly cloudy as the low temperature dips to about 48 or 9 degrees Celsius. The weekend brings with it more clouds, a chance of light rain, and a drop in temperatures as the high sits around 65 or 18 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.82 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. Thanks for watching and see you tonight.